Greetings! Welcome to the devlog for update 105 of Hot Dogs, Horseshoes, and Hand Grenades. We're going to start off as always with a quick sound check. Make sure speakers aren't up too high. Wonderful. So what have we got for you this week? Well, we are back on the main branch, and to celebrate, let's just dive right into the goodie for this week. We have one of aesthetically like my favorite modern pistols. Easily. The gorgeous model by Sergey. It is the H9. Look at this science fiction looking thing right here. I just love everything about its proportions. I fell in love with this the moment I saw it. It's got some great fresh audio for it. Oh, great stuff. Wonderful. Yeah, just listen to... As I think I mentioned last week, I've been working with Joe, our composer and sound designer, on bringing a whole bunch more fresh gun audio into the game, both for new Meat Miss stuff coming this December, as well as sort of swapping out some of the sort of existing sounds where there wasn't enough variation that was interesting. So... perfect. Absolutely perfect. Yeah, some of the other gun audio is like, for example, P90 has some fresh bolt sounds. Oh, there's that selector switch. Wonderful. And the USAS has way meatier bolt sounds now. Oh yeah, that is what that should sound like. So yeah, so that is what is going on with that. You'll also notice if you pull up load scenario while in the indoor range, we now actually have two included scenarios. From now on, every time that I configure the indoor range differently with new content that goes into the game, new guns and such, I'm going to permanently save that scenario and have it in the included scenario section of the indoor range. So if you end up stepping away from the game for a while and want to come back and sort of iterate through and try out each new set of guns as they were added to the game, they will, starting now, be on this list. One of the other changes for Update 105 is I have tried to tune up the first thing that is in front of your face in the game by making the control mode selection way clearer. You'll see that it's actually just completely disabled on the left for me because I have Vive ones. Any controller that doesn't have an A and a B button can't use streamline control mode. All the others can. If you have a controller that can, you would be able to select between these two. There is a better readme first, just in terms of showing people the new wrist menu, going to the item spawner to find things you might need, as well as reminding folks, because a lot of folks don't know we have a really incredible community wiki. And then over here, serving the same purpose as the sort of left board that used to be present here, is the sort of news and coming soon section that will continue to be updated. And by popular request, if you don't want this thing in your face every time the game loads, you can just uncheck this button and it will be over here. And when I load this scene again, news and coming soon will be what it defaults to in future runs, just so that I both handle new users well and ensure people don't actually realize that they can play this with normal controls, quote unquote, while at the same time getting it out of folks' way if they don't need to know that. Also, the friendly 45 range is now mostly into the game planner scenario system. I say mostly because these large wood assemblages over here, kind of like the way I built these however many years ago, the colliders sort of penetrate into the ground. There's no real convenient way to place these with the tools, especially on this bumpy of a ground yet. I have to fix that. So they are part of the static layout at the moment. But if I go like this and I go clean up, clean all spawnables, everything else gets cleared. The tables are gone, the thing flinger, the guns, so you can have significantly more of a blank canvas. And as I said, next update, I will get these as placeable objects as well, so that you can have even more control over this scene. Oh, importantly, it's probably cached, so it won't show up now. But when I load this, let's see if we see it very briefly as a blink. It was too fast. There is now, I've changed the way that this all loads. Folks who've been loading the game on slower drives or even just loading a lot of objects would oftentimes find that the first time they loaded as a scenario, the objects sort of trickled in, which was fine before the tables were placeable. And when that happened, well, objects would spawn before their table and crash to the ground, or spawn inside their table, or melons would explode out from boxes they were supposed to be standing on. So I had to rewrite a bunch of the architecture of how a scene is loaded this past week with the help of Lucas, because my brain plus async code equals a toaster that's on fire. So, but we figured it out and we got it working. And so now if you have a slow drive, like if you're not playing the game on an SSD, you will basically see a little loading ring around you, and it might be there for a little bit. It might take a minute or two if you're loading a really complex scene and you're running this game off a mechanical hard drive. It's one of the reasons that I really strongly suggest you run it off an SSD if you can. It's a bigger change in sort of quality of experience than probably any other hardware upgrade when it comes to playing H3. Whew, take a breath, Anton. So yeah, celebratory arm swinger jump, and let's jump out of VR and talk about one or two other super important things. Yo! It's out of VR, and finally back on the main branch. I know Update 105 doesn't have all the things that I have showed off being partially done over the past number of months. I still have a lot of work to do on the event system and the other cool scenes that I showed off. But I figured, especially with the holidays coming up, I just had to get a release out. And it's honestly, at this point, it makes way more sense to have you folks play with the toolbox and the pistols with simple stuff like laying out targets and things like that to make sure they 100% do what they're supposed to before I have you stitching together like complex event logic and things like that. So hopefully that all works and you enjoy playing with it in the sandbox scenes that it's in. The sandbox scenes that it's not in yet are the ones that still have some logic of their own. And so that's things like the Gunnasium and the Breaching Simulator, because those each have ways that they either spawn bots or targets or have timers. And eventually what I want to do is completely rip out the functional guts of those scenes, rebuild them in the game planner event system toolset, both as an example for how to do it, but also so that I can run variations easily and just have those as included scenarios. So that's why those don't have that yet. Also, the big thing to talk about is the item spawner transition. Obviously, the sort of game planner sandbox scenes have the new item spawner. All of the sort of complex logic games still have the old item spawner. That's something I have to do very, very carefully as a transition, because there are various sorts of hooks into the system that those game modes have. I need to make sure that when I do that transition for take and hold, that it doesn't like break all of the modded take and hold levels as well. So that's going to be a very delicate operation, and I wanted to do that separate from everything else that I'm doing here. So yeah, but this should be enough of it in the game to start getting feedback from folks and make sure that everything is, as I said, just behaving as expected and intended. So yeah. And then outside of the game itself and its updates, I wanted to push some more cool merch that Lucas and I did. We're going to be doing this series of pocket Sosigs. They are vinyl sticker sheets. They are super high quality. I had to do a durability test with them, so I just festooned the back of my phone with as many of them as possible, because I treat my phone very roughly and wanted to make sure that these actually were good, because you never know with print-on-demand stuff. And they were. So these are the first two characters. This is Uncle Spam. You'll see each one has a number. We've got a whole bunch of them planned. And then this is Yo Dog. The hot dog in a hot dog dog. And yeah, we're going to do ones for a bunch of the take and hold characters. We're going to do ones for one with Garage on it. And I'm a sucker for stickers. And I figured some of you might be a sucker for stickers as well. So yeah, so those are up on the store now. There's a link to the store down there. And then the last thing I wanted to mention, just so it isn't a surprise for those of you who watch the channel, but I'm going to do probably a little bit of experiments leading up to the holidays with YouTube Shorts content. I will disable notifications for them when I upload them, so you won't get spammed with notifications. But it's all the micro video content is what all the young people are doing. So yeah, just to rub the algorithms together, if that's how it works, I'm gonna do a little bit of it, just like short little videos that essentially will be like little micro tutorials, like here's how to use this gun in H3, just to see if it's something folks enjoy watching and see if it actually brings in anyone to the channel, if YouTube's algorithm actually serves them to anyone. It's kind of an experiment, but I figured I would just announce it in the devlog so that a bunch of you aren't like, what's up with the little 60-second stupid videos, Anton? So I want to, it's one of those things that I have largely kept the format and this channel, kind of exactly the same or very close to the same over the years in a very sort of boomer way. I try to ignore most of these sort of tech trends, but with it going up to the holidays, trying to juice sales a little bit, it seemed like something worth trying. So I hope it isn't annoying to any of you. So yes, that is just about it. So that's update 105. And then in terms of what is coming next, probably bug fixing for update 105. I'm not going to get into, as I said, a long update cycle immediately. I'm going to save stuff like the event system and the new scenes for after the new year, because I want to stay on main branch, because starting on December 1st, we'll have a updated and modified version of the Meatmas Snow Globe, and we will be doing a month of Meatmas updates from December 1st through December 25th. As we do every other year. It's not going to be a side of like a big mode like we did with the Winter Wasteland year. That was a bit much. That was a lot of work. I totally flamed out by the end of that one. So we're just keeping it focused on the fun stuff, and we'll have hopefully, as long as it doesn't take me too long to implement the guns. I've got a couple other things I'd like to do during the holiday season. Now that we have this sort of scenario system, it allows me to author something sort of small and cute and just sort of directly embed it into a scene as an option. So it's gonna open up, just as it will allow you folks to configure ranges how you want. It opens up a new sort of vertical of content that I can make for you folks in sort of bite-sized pieces as I add more cool objects into the game. So I'm excited. Anywho, I will stop rambling. I hope you all have a wonderful week and a wonderful weekend, and I'll see y'all soon. Peace.